What's going on, guys? This is Kai Shro, welcome back. So we are back with another video. So in this video we're going to cover Battle Nexus 2025 Hong Kong edition, which was held last March 2, 2025 and had a mind-boggling 340 participants. So it is a very huge tournament, almost double the numbers of the Battle Nexus Singapore edition, and we can already tell how huge the community and player base for the Hong Kong Nationals for Yu-Gi-Oh! In this event. So shoutouts to our friends in Hong Kong and our viewers in Hong Kong, and also shoutouts to Akira for providing this content and valuable information in Road of the King site that he usually operates. So these had 340, imagine that, and had like 6 rounds of Swiss with top 16 single elimination. So the Battle Nexus differs from each tournament. Sometimes it's just 8 rounds of Swiss only, sometimes it's just 6 rounds with top 16 elimination. So it varies depending on the region and the player count probably. And this will be the last big event that we will have for the Alliance Insight format, because we are going to get the deck build set this coming March, and also the ban list season for the 3rd week of March as well. So without further ado, let's start. So moving on towards our champion of the tournament, we have Leung Siupan, Grass Orcust, no? So Grass Orcust winning it all in this Hong Kong tournament, and arguably this is the best finish that Orcust had on the bigger events recently, and it's very surprising to see Orcust accompanied with Grass. And the usual norm for Orcust would be 40 card Orcust with droplets, droll, follows, and sometimes solemn strike and impulse, no? Or the usual Finsmith with Azamina multi-engine Orcust, but we really don't see Grass Orcust often, especially on major regions in Japan, South Korea, China, and Taiwan. They don't really fancy playing Orcust with Grass, but this player deviated from the standard stereotype of Orcust and decided to go outside the box, and he just won a very large tournament with 300 participants. Looking on this deck list, he just played the more usual hand traps with a Flawless, Purulya, Impulse, Imperm, and he supported the consistency of his Orcust, trading cards with Trust and Talent, and of course playing Triple Return and Crescendo. And the biggest factor here was the Grass, of course. Grass, as we all know, a very broken card, and if you can draw the Grass, it will just snowball your deck out of control, especially a deck like Orcust that gains advantages when getting dumped on the graveyard, and it is also an archetype with floating effects on the graveyard, so it really replenishes its resources and also gaining card advantages with dumping mechanic and using their banishing effects as well. So I didn't really anticipate that Orcust will win this major event for Hong Kong, but it speaks volume on how the format have shaped recently, where a lot of decks can contend. Even though Ryzel and Malice are just cut above the rest, those two are a level on their own. But if you can pilot the deck properly, and a competitive deck like Orcust, for example, no, which has gotten lesser and lesser traction from the past 3-4 weeks in the OCG, you can still top these tournaments, and anything is possible within this environment, where we can counter the Ryzel and Malice with such tech cards like Lancea, for example, no, Book of Moon, to name a few. So yeah, very huge result for Leung Siupan with Grass Orcust. And moving on, we do have Lin Kong Yao, Grass Malice, another Grass deck to top this tournament, and we do have Malice this time. So Grass Malice is not a outsider or a stranger for the Malice archetype. We often see Grass in China, mainland, and Taiwan. Those are the regions that are really popular with Grass Malice, and 60 Malice is also a thing in Japan and South Korea, playing with Horus, Bestials, and other stuff, no? But in this Malice, it didn't opt to play the Finsmith, Orcus, rather Horus, and the Alex of Bestials. It just played the new Ignister support, playing Grass and playing Fairy Tail cards, and played a bunch of consistency cards with Trust and Signet Mining just to improve the already consistent Malice. And the thing with these grass decks is very hard to scale against this type of decks where they can just snowball out of control once they have drawn consistency cards, 2 or 3 hand traps, and their 1 card starter, and it's very horrifying when they can draw the grass. It just seems like FTK, to be honest, when they can resolve grass in your face. And I just think that grass in a vacuum in OCG region is really strong, especially on these wide large events where you don't really expect the standards or the environment to be articulate on your own peripheral understanding of the metagame, no? So I just think that grass can have so much value on this type of tournaments, and it can give you so much edge towards the competition where you can just outwit everyone with your sheer gas and outright explosiveness using the grass deck 60. So is grass too broken or underratedly broken at this moment? I just think yes. To be honest, to answer that question, I think grass is really strong on this type of events. And moving on, next we have Sun, Hongbin, Ryzil. So pretty standard Ryzil. I think the recent trend was playing one of Small World, and it played dividends on this tournament. I think one of Small World is the best ratio for Ryzil right now because he already had 2 7 Tachyon and 3 Ascension. So you just need a little ooze of consistency boost to alleviate your mishaps from the hits of X and 7 Tachyon and Bonfire, no? So I think it's just so good at this point, really consistent, and you have like rooms for 17 non-engines. You have 3 Follows, 2 Purulya, 1 Nib, and 1 Lancea. Those are just really phenomenal against the Malice problem, Orcust, and Twice Primite. Next we have another Ryzil. This time 2 Small World really tried to deviate from the standard of one of Small World trend. But looking on this list, I just played double Follows and double Purulya. I just think that that's a really nice ratio for playing Ryzil because you have more rooms for Lancea, which respects the counterpart best deck on this environment, which will be Malice, for example, no, and Orcus. And especially Orcus really played under these regions where a lot of budget players will opt to play Orcus more than any other decks because it's really powerful. Like we have seen, the champion is playing Orcus, pure Orcus with 60 grass variant, no? So I think Lancea could make so much difference when you decided to main deck it and play towards the advantages of having a Lancea on game 1. And looking on the side deck, it has a bunch of 1-offs, 1 Trust, 1 Droplet, and the Duster Storm with 1 Sanctum and 1 the Barrier. Next, 5th to 8th place video of Lo, Tsihin, Malice. So 42 card Malice, quite different from the usual 40-41, no? I just think that when you want to run 3 Follows on Malice and you still want to play Impulse, I think 42 is the best number that you could come up with, even though it really compromises chances of drawing too many hand traps, but I think it really favors where you can just play 3 Underground, for example, no? And of course, the Follows and Maxi would eventually help you draw the cards that you needed to start going second. And it is playing one of Ryzil Detonator on the side deck just to have a fetch of card for the Metal Tronus. Next we have, oh my goodness, another Finsmith, this time with Punk. So I think we have seen Punk as well on the Singapore edition, or not. Yeah, I think Punk is very underrated on a lot of situations, even on Master Duel, TCG. I just think that Punk can have that surprise element that you want in large tournaments where your opponent doesn't know what you are doing and they don't really know what are the choke points. They just throw hand traps on the usual Finsmith line, for example. They just throw hand traps on your standard combo. But the bigger picture is you have a lot of extenders and you have things like emergency teleport and other extenders from Punk on your hand to continue your play and potentially break the opponent's board going second because you have extra gas and that unexpected factor of playing through the boards of your opponent. And it played one Mind Drain, rather Soul Drain, I forgot the name. But yeah, it can impact the Orcust and Malice really badly. And next we have Yuen Chun Sing, another Malice, this time clean, neat looking 40 card Malice. Just played the new support in 3 copies and the Atignister support as well. And playing one of Allure, which you don't see too much recently. They often play with Signet Mining over Allure to boost the consistency, but I think playing Allure can give you so much edge when you can play it risky and you want to rely on your luck on playing a card that potentially can give you -2 but can give you so much advantages if it resolves correctly. And next we have Zheng Ching Ho, Ryzil. So, pretty standard Ryzil, no Lancea this time. Just played one Nib on the main deck and one of Talent. And on the side deck, it's standard as well. Just played a bunch of one-offs as well with one Trust, one Lightning Storm, one Duster, and the D-Barrier as well. Next we have Wong Yuting, Primate Blue Eyes. This time, pretty bold, no? It's really rare to see Blue Eyes Primate playing 3 Bestials on the main deck with 1 Baldrake, 1 Druid Swarm, 1 Magnamut, and on top of that, he is playing Phantasmi. So, he really prepared against the Malice and Orcust matchup where you can just tailor fit your tech choices to answer those 2 decks, but eventually you're going to struggle against Ryzil potentially. So, yeah, it could hurt you in the process. But if you get your matchups lucky, straight, and favorable, I think you have so much advantages playing these tech cards, and I think it just played a large factor on his top on this tournament. Placing 9 to 16 is no mean feat on 340 participants. That's like top 1.2%. I forgot the math, but it's really astounding for Blue Eyes Primate with this deviation from the standard build. And next we have Ma Pun Nam, Primate Blue Eyes once again. This time, playing Called by the Grave on the main deck, which you don't see any at all on large regions. Japan, South Korea, China, Taiwan, they don't really do this, to be honest. They often play with talent only or things like Summon Limit, for example, or more hand traps like Nibiru, Fualos, and things like Lancea. So I think to Called by could do something where you face too much mid-range decks on the process, or you just want to avoid getting touch with Maxi and Fualos, no, for example. But yeah, you don't see that really frequently, and I'm really happy that it played a good amount of success on this topping list for Blue Eyes, because it could make something trend of playing Called by once again on Blue Eyes Primate deck list. But to be honest, I don't see it happening. It's a player preference choice to play around hand traps more effectively and to guard your combo process, playing around Maxi and Fualos, or potentially other stuff like Ash and Veiler, no? And next we do have 9 to 16 Wong Chiho, Azamina White Forest. So yeah, technically the 4th best deck on my books, and it just speaks volume on how good this deck can be. Large names in the game like Tasuku and other top tier Japanese players are playing White Forest at the moment, and I think they're not going to play this deck if they don't see anything good in this deck. So I just think that you can really out-tempo everyone when going first. You have so much explosiveness, so much consistency, so much resiliency. And when going second, you have a ton of tools to break the opponent's board with just your engine. For example, no, you have like a lot of starters on this, and you can be so resilient, and you have things like Falls and Purulia to just do something and stop your opponent from snowballing out of control, no? And next we have Chong, King, Chuen, Primate Blue Eyes once again. This time a more standard approach, playing 2 Nib, this time on the main deck. And played Skill Drain over the Summon Limit. I think people are pivoting towards Skill Drain more than Summon Limit because it is more punishing. And you have no problems sitting on 3k attack monsters, Vanilla, Blue Eyes, other stuff like 3-5 monsters, no? And Baron de Fleur, which has 3k stat line as well. So you can just pretty much beat down everyone and control the match with Skill Drain, and you have floating Primate on your back row, you have Drill Beam to protect your Skill Drain, and yeah, you can pretty much seal the game with just beating down your opponent with your Blue Eyes and high attack boss monsters. And next, the last deck on our part, probably, we do have Lai Hokan, Ryuge. Oh my goodness. Malice has been really a fan favorite for a lot of enthusiasts of waifu archetypes, as we all know. And Ryzil is looking to be the best deck out there. And the third deck from that deck build crossover breakers was the Ryuge, and it was overshadowed by a large margin from those two, Malice and Ryzil. And I am just really relieved and happy to see Ryuge doing something, topping large tournaments like this now. And it is not a fluke, to be honest. I just think that if you want to read the metagame and prepare for the Malice Orcust and other stuff like White Forest, no, for example, you can go with Ryuge and just stun everyone, no? For example, playing border with your live Macrocosmos Shenshen Pseudo, floating effect on your field, and you have things like Dominus Purge, Impulse, and Imperms going second with Maxino. I think you could do so much work. You could really punish those top tier decks, and it could play so much wit for your Ryuge when you can just control the match, no? And technically be that oddball in the tournament where everyone doesn't expect you to do something good, and out of nowhere you just surprise them and beat the hell out of them with your unpredictability and overall ways to stun the game state now with border and your anti-graveyard shenanigans from Ryuge. Looking on the extra deck, you just play Drunk 10 Turbo, no? With Varudras, Gustav Max, and other train cards on this. And yeah, pretty budget, no? Aside from the fact that it is playing Dominus Purge and Impulse, which could be really something else when going second. I think it just played so much value when going second with Purge and Impulse. You have like solemn cards on your hand, to be honest, and played triple Ama no Iwato, which can be really solid going first. You just stop everything on your opponent's hand and sit on the Ama no Iwato doing your standard line of play. And Gordon Schneider as well, really profound going second. Board breaker for a deck like Ryuge, which doesn't care any at all from the extra deck and probably even hand cards sometimes. So yeah, that sums up our Battle Nexus 2025 Hong Kong metagame report and decklist analysis. So if you found this video informative and helpful, please consider subscribing. It definitely motivates me a lot to keep providing this content for you guys. So once again, shout outs to the winners and congratulations for winning Battle Nexus 2025 Hong Kong edition. So once again, thank you for watching. See you on the next one. Peace.